Simon Biwott, you are one of Kenya's great former athletes. Could you tell us what has been happening with Agnes Tirop's case and with Tirop's Angels?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. First of all, we all know that Agnes Tirop was brutally murdered 2 years ago. And he was murdered by a boyfriend who was later on arrested. And then he was also released later through a bond of 400,000 Kenya shillings. This case was coming on 16 and 17 October, where they were expecting more witnesses to testify. But unfortunately, the witnesses did not turn up. But as we speak, we already have enough witnesses who have testified about the case, so it's not a big issue. And the case was scheduled for 2nd November. So for the Agnes Tirop Angels, they have also been following this case keenly. And they have a hope that this case will be concluded this year, before the end of this year, and justice be served.
If Ibrahim is convicted, what sentence is he likely to face?
Personally, I cannot predict the sentence that is going to get. But you know, the Agnes Tirop Angels had already raised a red flag, especially when the suspect was released with a bond of 400,000 Kenya shillings. First, they saw the amount was too low. That's around $3,076. And again, they saw it as if it was too soon for such a suspect who had murdered somebody to be released within a short time or a short period, as that Ibrahim was released. So your case is as good as mine, so I cannot guess how he's going to be sentenced.
Sorry, the question was if he was convicted. It's not saying like he's going to be convicted. It's if he is convicted, what is the sort of maximum sentence and minimum sentence for such a crime?
Here in Kenya, such a crime is the minimum sentence should be over 25 years.
Is it normal in such cases as this, where it's domestic violence leading to murder, that the suspect gets bail, and especially gets bail on such a low amount?
It's not so normal, but it happens on rare occasions, whereby other suspects are released on small amount, and again within a short period. So that one indicates that maybe the case could be compromised or influenced in one way or another.
How are Kenyan people, especially Kenyan women, responding to the fact that he has received bail while the trial is still ongoing?
As I had said earlier, is that majority of Tirop's Angel women athletes who represented Kenya in various events globally. And to them, because I talked to one of them, they felt so bad that this guy was released on bail within a short time, and again without such a small amount. So to women, they see it as another injustice to women, and also violation of their rights, especially as this country is trying to fight against this gender violence that is now increasing here in Kenya.
What about the world of athletics and sport? How are they reacting, first of all, to the murder of Agnes Tirop, and more recently the Ugandan marathon runner Rebecca Cheptegei as well? How is that being responded to within the world of athletics in terms of protecting female athletes?
It was so discouraging to the association of or federations of athletics when they heard that Agnes Tirop was murdered, and immediately they had taken some action to see that they talk to women athletes and also male athletes who are training along the female athletes. They had to try to encourage them to open up and share any kind of challenges maybe they were facing when it came to the relationship. So to the federation, the reaction was with a lot of disbelief, and also a kind of bitterness. So everybody was very bitter about it, but they found themselves in a way that they don't have much to do apart from trying to encourage the female athletes to share any challenge they were facing when it came to relationship with their friends or their boyfriends.
You are a member of an athletics organization of former athletes. How has your group responded, especially the men in it, to the treatment of female athletes in Kenya?
Our response to this issue is that, first of all, we condemn with the strongest terms possible this issue of gender violence. Another thing we have been trying to do is our association comprises of former athletes who were representing Kenya some time back. And among the members, we have those who have ventured into coaching. And we are trying to work together to make sure that we visit these camps, and we also talk to the women athletes as well as male athletes, because we have discovered that the people who normally turn against these women are the closest people to them, especially those who are friends or even at times relatives. So, but of late it has become closely boyfriends and maybe fiancés, or who are aspiring to be husbands in the future. So we are talking to them, and also we are talking amongst ourselves to see the best way we can reach out to these young girls and also young men.
I understand that in this particular case, the Agnes Tirop case, that the person wasn't just related to her in terms of having a relationship with her, but was also her coach. Does that happen a lot as well, that men attach themselves to promising female athletes because they see them as a golden goose for themselves and are not really that interested in their athletics abilities?
Yes, from Agnes Tirop's case, we can detect that this boyfriend came there with some calculated moves, because she joined Agnes Tirop late. he was not maybe the coach in the beginning, but she saw the girl was promising when it comes to athletics performance. When she was performing well, is when she approached her, and that's the time she purported to be her coach. And having taken that position of a coach, I think he took advantage of the lady. And when the lady was trying to move out of him or protest against what this guy was trying to do, I think that's the time now he planned to murder the lady.
What has Kenyan athletics, international athletics, and the Kenyan government done to address this situation of vulnerable female athletes being taken advantage of by unscrupulous men?
As I had said earlier, is that the best that maybe the association has done is to try and have some seminars with top performing athletes, both men and women. They have not anyway separated them. So they have had general talks with athletes, and they have encouraged them to open up and try to share if there is any challenge. As you know, when it comes to athletics, it's a kind of a private arrangement, because you will find that every athlete is aligned to his club. So you'll find that at the end of the day, it is the immediate coach who is going to be in charge of trying to mentor the athletes and also advise them on what to do. So I can say that the association is not so close that they can be involved in a day-to-day activity, but the immediate coach is the person who is always with the athletes. And also, apart from that, we have the manager. And you know that managers, majority of the managers here are foreigners, so they are not here all the time. So we still realize that the major part still lies with the athletes themselves and the immediate coach.
The situation with Rebecca Cheptegei is different in that both she and the perpetrator, who was having a relationship with her, died as a result of fire. How are Kenyan athletics and the Kenyan government and Kenyan athletes dealing with this tragedy? What do they want to see happen to protect talented athletes such as Agnes and Rebecca?
Okay, for the athlete, what they really want is they want the security of the athletes to be improved. And these are scam many times when it comes to when they are giving their briefs that athletes should be protected. And the issue of Cheptegei, you will realize that Cheptegei was a Ugandan athlete. And I think after she was murdered, Joshua Cheptegei during the burial was requesting Ugandan athletes to go back to Uganda and train while they are there, because they were seeing as if the Kenyan training area is becoming dangerous to women athletes who are training here. So those were sentiments that were aired by Joshua Cheptegei during that time, and we can realize that during that time everybody was emotional. Some of the things were said being moved by emotions. So, but here in Kenya, what athletes are requesting the government is to have more protection. And I want to tell you that apart from the women athletes, last year, or last week, we also buried a male athlete who was brutally murdered in his residence. And this guy is called Samson Gandie. He's one of my friends that we represented the country in 2001 World Championship Olympics. So we saw this as if it is a new thing that is increasing and it's cutting across now. It's not only women who are on danger. We realize that men also are on danger. So we need more discussion and also more education, especially to the young athletes. We can say in the past it was not as frequent as now, but it is something now that is becoming common. Apart from those who have already been maybe murdered, we also found out that we have quite a number whose their relationship are straining. They have a strained relationship, maybe with their love, with their boyfriends or their husbands. So it's an issue that is there. Also, we are still, because it's something new, we are also trying to learn what really is happening.
In Britain, I have told you that we have had a couple of serious issues regarding the Parole Board, whose job it is to decide whether it is safe to release murderers, and their job is to decide just whether they believe that the public will be safe or not. Recently, we've had two cases of grotesque sexually motivated murders where the parole board has decided to release them. In the second case, it's the one I've been dealing with a lot, the murder of Lynette White, which resulted in a terrible miscarriage of justice. And the problem with this, or part of the problem, is the victims of the miscarriage of justice were not given any opportunity to address the parole board or make it clear what they thought of this. And in my case, as a journalist who's written extensively about this case and appeared on TV and radio about it, I am potentially identified as somebody who was very seriously involved in exposing the miscarriage of justice and in dealing with the parole issue in trying to get the hearing in public. Now, the parole board has not informed me whether they have told Jeffrey Gafoor, that's the murderer, or his lawyers, that I was involved in trying to get this case dealt with in public. And I'm of the opinion that this has potentially put my safety at risk. How do you feel about the issues here, including that journalists may well not want to take up investigating such cases if they think their safety is at risk?
Given this issue of parole, I think I was also perturbed, especially with the issue that the family or close friends of the victim were not involved. So perhaps the formation of this parole was anyway with utmost maybe good faith, and also it can serve a good purpose. But I believe with the exclusion of the family's victim, it is not doing any good to the people who are really offended, because releasing a criminal who have just murdered somebody within a short time is also endangering the public, given that from the information or the findings we are also getting is that many of those criminals who are released from prison are likely to end up again back into prison within maybe a year or 2 years, having committed another crime. So I believe parole should make sure that they involve the public and more so the close relatives of the victim before they release a person who have committed crime, such a grave crime like that one that was committed by Gafoor, whom you have said he has just been released.
Let me just clarify. Jeffrey Gafoor has served 21 years in prison. The victim, Lynette White family, have been given the opportunity to have their say. But this case is unusual because it's a vindication case. It's one where there is no doubt that innocent people were wrongly accused and wrongly convicted in some cases on this. But they, the actual victims of the miscarriage of justice and their families, have never been given the opportunity to address the parole board, which we think is wrong because they are actually victims and should be given that opportunity. So it is a slightly strange and different type of case, but that's basically what's happened. Does that affect your thinking at all?
Yes, it still affirms what I had said, that close relatives and even the public. And in this case, I think the people who were accused wrongfully were the people who were supposed to be given opportunity to also participate before they release Gafoor.
In this particular case, 3 people, myself included, asked the parole board to hold the hearing in public so that the public would know the processes of the parole board and the details of this case and could make its own mind up on what they thought on whether the person should be released or not. That not only did not happen, but it seems that Gafoor and his lawyers were informed about the objection, certainly, and I'm not certain as to exactly what they have told him and whether I am personally identifiable as one of the 3 people. I mean, I'm identifying myself now, but that's not the point. The damage may well have already been done. So the issue here is whether it is acceptable to allow a situation where the perpetrator of a very violent crime may well have been informed of the identity or be able to work out the identity of a person who was saying that this situation is simply unacceptable.
Yes, I think for the parole board, especially for people who registered objection, they need to be given security in form of maybe privacy so that they cannot be identified by the victim. And later on, maybe the same convicted person can organize to harm the person himself. And I think it was good for the parole board to accept your request and even invite you so that you can discuss together, because I believe these institutions, when they are formed, they are supposed to serve the public, but it is in the common knowledge that they are not perfect enough. And people like you, especially people who register the objections, can also be given opportunity to share what they think about it, so that not only are we going to serve the victims justice, but also it will work to improve the Parole Board to make sure that also it becomes better than it is as it is today.
The Parole Board has not engaged with me about this. They've reached their decision to release Gafoor without talking to me and without telling me if I have been identified or am identifiable or not. I have had to contact them and say, I find this unacceptable and I want to know what you're going to do about it to protect my safety, not so much for myself, but for others, because I am deeply concerned that journalists will simply not look to investigate issues if they think that their safety is going to be at risk. Do you think something should be done about that? And if so, what do you think they should do to assure the safety of journalists so that the public can be informed?
As I had given an example about whistleblowers, because I think the whistleblowers have a special way of how they are protected. Because when a whistleblower mentions maybe economic crime that somebody has said, they are not, their identity is concealed, so it is not given to the public, and even the person who was reported is not able to know who reported him. So I believe in your situation, you should also receive the same treatment as the way the whistleblowers receive, so they cannot be identified. And one thing is that Parole should have given you that opportunity to discuss with them. And even if they have not given you that opportunity, I believe it is high time also you sit down during your time and write a letter to them, highlighting how you feel and also pointing out the dangers that you have also seen concerning other people who have registered their protests. You should make an effort to make sure that they get a comprehensive letter from you explaining all those reasons that you think and how you feel about it, so that maybe if they'll be in a position to read, they might act on the letter that you are going to give them, but still persist to have an opportunity to discuss with them.
I have already done that. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think we have already covered many areas concerning parole, but I still repeat that let them understand that the issues you are bringing in is meant maybe to serve justice to the victims and also improve the Parole Board to be a bit better and serve the community in a better way than it is today. That's all that I can say for now.
Simon Biwott, thank you very much.